Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Talent Culture's T-Chat Radio. The World of Work is live now on the radio with Megan M. Biro and Kevin W. Grossman, because middle initials count.
Come down, turn the radio on. Take my hand, turn the radio on. Come on, my favorite song, baby. Let's dance, turn the radio on.
Welcome everybody out there in Talent Culture T-Chat Show land. It is Wednesday, August 5th. It is 10 a.m. Pacific time if you're on the West Coast like myself and our guest are today, or 1 p.m. Eastern time if you're in the East, as the lovely and talented Megan M. Biro is. Megan, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing fine. It's Wednesday here. I'm over in Cambridge, the home office. I'm getting ready for a little vacation starting tomorrow. I'm going to be heading out to the Twin Cities to see some family and have some fun there. So my vacations tend to be working, but I'm going to try to, everyone's telling me, you know what, just take some time off. So we'll see if I can actually make that happen. I'm excited. It's summer, so we all know that
There you
summer
go.
goes by awfully quick, doesn't it?
It does. It's a blink, and gosh, only in a few weeks, the Beehive, my girls are going back to school, and lots of other kids are going back to school too. So it's coming up fast. But we're taking another little trip. We already had our big vacation in June, but we're taking another little mini trip to Tahoe the weekend after next. So we're excited about that. So
sweet, very nice.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So with you, as always, is Kevin W. Grossman. We've already been saying hi to Megan, and we're excited. I mean, it's a gorgeous day in the Bay Area today. I can tell you that right now on the West.
Oh, yeah.
So we're really excited. And this is, and real quick, thanks to all of our friends and sponsors, Dice, Jive, TalentWise, Hootsuite, IBM, Career Builder, PeopleFluent, Smart Search, our social analytics partner, HR Marketer Insight, and of course the Candidate Experience Awards and Talent Board, which we're very big supporters of as well. So, Megan, this is great. Well, we're gonna today. We got a new topic today for us, right?
We got it.
New
But
topic.
I gotta take this moment. I am so excited. We have actually got some new sponsors on board that I want to give shout outs to.
Oh, do it. Let's do it. Yeah, there you go.
Let's welcome Workable and iCIMS to the party. Thank you.
Woohoo! Right on.
Woohoo! Let's
Nice.
get this party started. So, we're all here together, moving the needle on the future of work as always. And, last week we talked about how HR is driving positive workforce impact with the right data insights. And this week we're going to be talking about why recruiting is, you know what? Hold on a minute. I'm in another show. No, this week we're talking about how employers can help bridge the great debt divide.
Correct. There you go.
So there you go. And today with us is somebody that is doing some pretty cool things. His name is Dan Macklin, at Macklin Dan on the Twitters. He's the co-founder and vice president of SoFi, the nation's second largest marketplace lender. And kind of interesting, because as I was starting to do some research around Dan in this organization, lots of storytelling to do. So I'm glad he's here with us. He is the co-founder and vice president, and they offer mortgages, personal loans, student debt loans, refinancing, and more to high-achieving professionals. Previously, Dan spent 12 years at Standard Chartered Bank Lending Enterprise, sales and product development, doing all sorts of things across London, Singapore, and Shanghai. Welcome, Dan. Where are you today? And tell us just a little bit more about what you're all about.
Yes, please do, Dan.
Hey, Megan. Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me today. I'm in San Francisco today. That's where SoFi's headquarters is. So it's a bright, sunny Wednesday afternoon here, and life is good. We just overlook the Golden Gate Bridge, so we have a very nice office over here.
Lovely.
But you gave me You gave me a nice intro there, Megan. I was in banking for 12 years. I then took some time out very fortunate enough to attend the business school at Stanford University out here in California, and fell in love with the area and Silicon Valley in general, and the idea for entrepreneurship, and really tried to find an idea for a company, and finance was that obvious space, just because along with myself and a couple of classmates, we thought there was some room for improvement in the products that were available, and student lending and student loans was the first of those products. We were pretty horrified by the high cost of borrowing to go to school here, and thought about bringing around a much more credible and much cheaper option for people.
Nice. And I
Excellent.
think so often when you see this topic, you're like, okay, this applies to somebody's personal life, right? But I don't think it does anymore, right? I mean, I think when we're talking about loan debt and rising healthcare costs, that impacts today's companies too, and their ability to recruit and retain people. So as you know, we're all about the world of work, the future of work. So to me, in my opinion, is personal and career and life is all combining into one, right? It's hard to kind of separate that out.
Yeah, exactly correct.
It all matters,
Exactly, Megan, and it impacts people when in the workplace. So maybe just before we talk about how it's impacting employees, just to give you a few stats. You've probably seen most of these on the front pages of the newspapers over the last couple of years, but just to give you an idea of the scale of the problem. Now there's over 40 million people in the US who have student debt. So it's a huge issue for millions and millions of people. And the amount of debt that's out there, student debt, is over $1.3 trillion. So aside from mortgages, it's the biggest class of debt that's out there. It's bigger than credit cards. It's bigger than auto loans. It's a really big problem for large numbers of people. And the other issue is that it's continuing to go up very quickly. So the level of student debt is increasing by about 7% a year, far exceeding inflation. So in short, you've got lots of people having to borrow lots of money to go to school. And that then, when they graduate, is putting huge pressure on their finances. And that's where they are then graduating, entering the world of work with these huge debts over their shoulders, and it's impacting them at work. And that's really, I think, hopefully the focus of today, to talk about what employers can do to help those employees.
Hey, Dan, you mentioned that, when did it cross that threshold, by the way? So you said second to mortgages, it's the largest amount debt that's carried by consumers. When did it cross that threshold to exceeding auto loans and the other references that you made? Do you know? It was about
3 or 4 years ago. So generally, since the financial crisis in 2008, almost every form of debt has reduced in size. People have been paying back their credit cards. It's been tough to take out loans, all except student loans. It just continues to gallop upwards.
So according to some of the stats then we referenced for the show, and that I pulled together from some of the data on your site. So undergrads are carrying individually about 40 to 60 grand of student loan debt individually, right? And then they're double for MBAs and attorneys. Why that? What's that?
I was going to say it's a bit less than that. For undergrads, they're coming out on average with around 30 grand, $30,000. Okay. But for anyone who's been to graduate school, it's far in excess of that. Business school, it's more like 80,000. If you went to medical school, it's more like 150 to 200,000. Many people we help have more than $300,000 or $400,000. There's some crazy numbers out there.
Oh my God! So why then? Hold on.
Okay.
No, I want to just no. I just want to finish my question on this one. So.
No, I do.
So why is it then nearly impossible to refinance their loans that we were just referring to at more equitable rates today, in regards to changing circumstances, et cetera? Even though we've been coming out of the recession for the past few years, why is that the case?
So it was a very strange market, student lending in general. When we started SoFi about 4 years ago, we looked into the market and there was no one refinancing federal student loan debt. No one. And we almost didn't launch the company because we thought, well, there must be a reason that we're not seeing. But the truth is no one was doing it. The market didn't exist. But SoFi was the first to do it, and there's been a couple of other guys who've come in afterwards. And now there is a market for people. So there are options that you have if you graduated and you have debt. If you are earning a salary, if you're working, then you have options to reduce the cost of that debt. And just to give you an idea, SoFi saves our customers around $14,000 on average, but that's the average. Many people are saving $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000. Really, really extremely large sums of money.
Wow.
I just want to ask, when we're talking about this data, is this U.S. data or are we talking global data?
This is just U.S. data. So you may detect from my accent, I'm not from around these parts. I'm back from the UK.
No way.
Yeah. So the amount of student debt in the U.S. far exceeds any other country by orders of magnitude. So this is probably a different show, but in other countries, higher education is free or almost free. Or people just aren't borrowing to the same degree. So all the numbers are U.S. numbers.
Yeah, wow. USA, woohoo!
Yeah.
So Dan, in regards to then, kind of going back to the statement that Megan made, but I wanted to get your take on it a little bit more, is that obviously then this does impact companies and their ability to recruit and retain, right? So from your perspective then, what are some of the things you hear from organizations that you're presenting your programs to? How is it affecting that? I mean, some of it's pretty obvious, but, give us your take.
Yeah, sure. So I think what the impact of the debt is that you have a lot of employees now who are sitting there at work or doing their day jobs, and they have this debt over them. And that's affecting their productivity because they're worrying about that debt, or they're spending hours in the day dealing with their debt, paying off balances here and paying off balances there. And there's been lots of surveys that have said that, particularly among millennials, where most of the student debt is focused, that debt is their biggest financial concern. They're not really thinking about saving for retirement. In fact, 65% of them in a recent survey said that they're delaying saving for retirement until they've paid off their student debt. So companies obviously do great things around 401k and retirement planning and healthcare and all these other great benefits that employees get. But the reality is, if you're coming out of school with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loan debt, you're probably more worried about that for the first few years and getting that off your back until you're really able to think about retirement planning or anything like that. Right. So I think companies just need to be aware of that. And there are things that companies can do. But being aware that this is a problem for your employees is the first step.
Hey, we're pretty active here on the Twitters right now, and I've got a question for you that's coming in from @GreenChili ADICT saying, I cannot find any data that confirms or denies the student debt. Where do you find this? ? Do you want to kind of answer that question for us that's coming in real time?
Yeah, there's actually various numbers that are thrown out there. One of the problems with the industry is there's no concrete number for the amount of student debt. So there are different studies that say it's 1 billion or 1.2 billion or 1.3 billion. So there's lots of different studies out there. To hand, I don't have one now, but any report that you see out there will quote the kind of more than 1 billion number. But honestly, whether it's 1 billion or 1.3 billion, in a way, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that if you are in a company with 1,000 employees, many of those 1,000 employees are going to have student debt. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Yep.
And when you talk about it, and Megan, we've talked about this many times before too. Millennials are just about, if not already, the majority of the workforce today, right? So if the majority of millennials are the ones that are carrying the heaviest student loan debt, that's the more dramatic impact on organizations and businesses today. But Dan, also you referenced, also on us old Gen X fogies too, right? And other generation. It impacts the entire infrastructure.
Yeah, it does. Millennials in general shoulder most of that student debt because typically people come out of school, they have the debt, and they
Right.
pay it off, or at least try to pay it off over 10 years or so. But many people in their 40s and 50s and 60s have debt as well, sometimes for their own education, but oftentimes for their kids' education. They're borrowing Parent Plus loans from the government at really horrendously high rates to fund their kids. And so it's not just for the younger folks in the workforce. It applies almost to everybody.
Here we go. We're using the word folks again, everybody. It's been noted. No comment. No comment. You know, that's all right.
Dan, Megan loves folks. Megan loves the term folks.
Great.
Okay, I'll keep using it.
Let's go find some rainbows and unicorns. Hey.
Wow, you went from folks to rainbows and unicorns? Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah, I put them in the same bucket. Yep.
There you go.
It's called the cheesy bucket, but that's okay.
There you
that's
go.
Just my opinion. That's just my opinion, right?
That's all right.
So let's talk a little bit. I know we're throwing around a lot of fancy data, right? We've got a lot of big numbers. We know it's kind of scary and sad. What can leaders do right now to help employees? This is very important right now. You know, how do leaders or HR, anybody out there who's dealing with employees, which is a lot of people, right? How do they help employees tackle the burden of student loan debt then? What do we do next?
It's a great question, Megan, and I think the answer is really in two parts. Firstly, overarching is awareness. Employers can do a huge job at just spreading awareness to their employees that solutions are out there. And then those solutions really fall into two buckets. The first one is with federal programs, because most people have federal loans. 90% of the student loans out there are made by the government. And within those federal loans, there are certain programs and plans that people should be aware of that may apply to them and may benefit them. And we can talk about those. And then the second overall tool that people have at their disposal is refinancing, and that's what SoFi does. So if companies and employers can help to spread awareness about the federal programs that are out there and the private refinancing that's out there, then they're doing a huge service to their employees. So if I can go into some of the detail on what those federal programs are, a great website to start for somebody in HR to familiarize themselves with this is studentaid.ed.gov, studentaid.ed.gov. And this is the main place to find all of these government programs. So just to mention a few, there are certain forgiveness programs. So if you happen to work in the public sector, there's a program called Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and there's a teacher loan forgiveness program. And if you're a public defender or a public doctor, there's different types of programs that can help you, and you may be able to get your loans forgiven. So obviously, if you work in that industry, you need to make sure your employees know about that. But even if you're not in the public sector, there are other special repayment plans like pay-as-you-earn or income-based repayment plans, IBR, which allow people, particularly if they're not earning high salaries, to cap their payments, to cap their monthly payments, and to make those loans affordable. So employers can help spread awareness about that, refer people to that website, studentaid.ed.gov, and that's a huge help for people.
That seems so simple to me, and it's surprising that more employers aren't taking this step. Is it just me?
I agree. It's not. It's not rocket science, but I'm not going to pretend it's simple because there are lots of these programs, and they're all kind of caveated around your personal situation. Lots of things depend on if you're married or filing your taxes jointly, or if you're in the right industry, or how long you've been paying. There's lots of small detail there, but most people can dig into that themselves and understand that. Ideally, a company would look at all this stuff and wrap their head around it and offer more proactive advice to people. But even just raising awareness and telling people about the high-level stuff, I think, is a great step forward. And then
there's really no excuse not to, right? I mean, this is information that I think everybody should have, and it takes how long to actually educate and inform your employees that this is available to you. I think so many people are struggling with this, and they don't maybe want to talk about it, or they feel like in some weird way it's going to negatively affect how they're viewed as an employee. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's a really big point, because we've found in the companies that we've worked with that there is sometimes a bit of stigma attached to the issue of student loan debt. Maybe less now because so many people have got it, but there is still some kind of feeling that it's maybe, I wouldn't say a badge of shame, but some people may not feel open to talk about it. So I think if a company encourages it and holds sessions at lunchtimes or whatever to help people through it, then people realize they're not on their own. There's others out there, and there's some help at hand. So I think it's a really big thing that companies can do.
Yeah.
Well, in all fairness,
yeah. Yep.
Go ahead. Shout out.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Green Chili Addict, who says, I have close to $100,000 in student loan debt, but that's for 2 master's programs, not one. Pretty good deal, I'd say. So, hey, shout out, Ed. We feel ya. We feel your pain, and thanks for being part of T-Chat with us today.
Still a lot of debt. But Dan, the federal programs that you referenced, and thank you for spelling those out to everybody too, and hopefully somebody was tweeting that out. The federal government in the U.S. at least has never been very good about getting the word out about programs like this. It's also not easy to get the word out, and organizations may miss some of those memos that go out. But financial wellness, though, from a private company perspective, and we talked about that a little bit earlier this week too, that's been something that's been on the rise the past few years, and I've seen it. I've worked with some of the startups that are actually out there in financial wellness, working with organizations today that are even here in the Bay Area. So I think that's exciting, and they're working hard to trying to get the word out too in that regard. But I guess my question though is, based on the fact that financial wellness is becoming more on the radar, how has this changed in the past decade? Has it been primarily because of the recession from your perspective, Dan? And how prevalent are these programs? Are you seeing them happening more as well?
Yeah, we are. So so at SoFi, we're working now with over 300 of the biggest companies and membership associations in the country. So this includes many of the Fortune 10, Fortune 100 companies, huge names who realize this is an issue for their people. I think generally financial wellness is a bigger thing than it was years ago, because just frankly it's so important to people. So if they can do great in their jobs, but if they don't know how to manage their money, then that's going to impact their performance at work. So I think companies are paying more attention to it. But student loans and student loan debt in general is still a relatively new area. But as I mentioned, many companies are working with SoFi. We offer refinancing loans, so we allow people to reduce their rates from 7 or 8%. Maybe like the person who just tweeted in, who's got $100,000. We have many people who've been to graduate school. They have $100,000 of debt. They work for a great company, and they're on a good path to success, but they're still paying 7 or 8%. So SoFi allows them to refinance that. They come down to 3 or 4%, and as a result, they save tens of thousands of dollars. So we're working with the companies to make this available to their people. It doesn't cost the company anything. It doesn't cost their employees anything to apply. It's just raising awareness, and many hundreds of people at these companies, and thousands of people in some cases, are coming through and taking loans with us and saving lots of cash.
So I'm going to play two sides of the fence here. I'm going to put on my CEO hat for a minute and ask you very specifically, though, what are the employer costs associated with these kinds of financial well-being benefits? Because there's got to be a cost here that I'm missing on the employer side, no?
Well, not with SoFi. So working with SoFi, there's no cost. We're not charging the company anything. We're not indirectly charging them through the employee or anything like that. So it's completely free to use. Now, of course, there's some element of time and energy that has to be devoted to spread the word. So there's, people are having to work a few hours on it. But we try to minimize that by creating all the materials and the content. And then really it's just up to the companies, usually the HR executives, to send an email or post something on a website within the company, or put up posters in the elevators or in the canteen or whatever it is, just so that the word can get out. But there is no cost.
Wait, hold on. Did you just say in the canteen?
Yeah, we've done lots of sessions. We've done lots of sessions where we'll go and just put a table out.
Canteen. There's another one. We like canteen. That's a new one.
I'm going to say cafeteria. I'm going to play the English card on canteen.
I love it.
So
I love it.
we set up outside the work lunch area. Let me call it that. And then people drift in to go to lunch, they'll ask questions and we'll help them. And as they drift out, we'll help them. So it's a very easy way for people to get questions answered without disrupting their day.
Very cool.
I would have loved you to have said, Dan, the Star Wars Cantina. So that would have been really good.
Talk about employer branding. We've got opportunities here, right?
So what channels? So Dan, I know you said you're working with over 300 organizations. We're down to the last few minutes too before we jump to the Twitter chat, and looking forward to doing that with the community out there as well. But you're working with many organizations already and a lot of associations. What other primary channels are you getting the word out on?
So far we're getting the word out in many ways. I mean, we find individuals in many ways through traditional advertising, online and offline. We're fortunate enough that we get lots of press written about us. So last week, for example, we're in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, and we've been in the Economist and all these other things because it's just such a topical, subject at the moment. The fact that so many people have debt and it's not going very quickly. So people find us in many ways. Referrals is the biggest one. A lot of people take loans and then they tell 5 or 6 of their friends, and that's the best endorsement because it speaks to the quality of the savings and the quality of the experience. So, but the companies is a huge thing for us. Through we have a few companies, well, more than a few companies, many of these companies where we have over 1,000 of their employees have refinanced their loans with us. So, that's big for them. It's big for the company, and it's good for us because it's a great way that we're able to help more people.
Well, sweet. This has been a really interesting and valuable discussion today on the T Chat, and we're going to be heading on over to Twitter now to talk a little bit more about it. Clearly, lots more to discuss. I think a lot of people are quietly in pain on the issue of debt, or if they're not quietly in pain, they're absolutely outspoken about it. And then there's probably a range of people who don't know what to do and just have a big question mark there. So to all of you out there who are dealing with this, we do have options. Don't get paralyzed. Don't do that. There are ways out of it. And hopefully employers out there and leaders are listening. Don't let this go unnoticed, because this is a wellness issue. This is a benefit that I think a lot of your employees would love some help with. So thanks so much for being part of this, and we'll take it on over to Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And we got about a minute and a half. One more quick note. I think that's why, Dan, why HR handles such sensitive data and information in situations already on a regular day-to-day basis. I think that's why that's definitely the perfect conduit for something like this as well. So anyway.
Yeah, I think that, and Kevin, just one point to add. We have a great reference guide that we've produced. If you go to SoFi.com, SOFI.com, at the top, click on references, and within that references, there's a student loan refinance guide. It's 8 pages. It's a very crisp document that employers can look at, grasp the situation, and it mentions the government, studentaid.ed.gov. In there, it tells you about the government programs. It's a good place to start for people.
Excellent.
Thank you, Dan. All right. Well, we appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon. Sweet.
Thank you.